Imagine a landscape bathed in the last golden light of an Italian sunset. Rolling hills quilted with olive groves, cypress trees stabbing at a sky brushed in crimson. And in the distance, a lone stone arch, weathered, ancient, stubbornly clinging to the soil it has known for more than 2 millennia. You can run your hand along its pitted surface, feeling the grooves cut by hands long turned to dust. This was their world, the Etruscans, a civilization so advanced, so mysterious, that when they vanished, they left behind a silence that still unsettles historians to this day. The Etruscans weren't some obscure tribe living on the fringes of the ancient world. They were, in their prime, the dominant force in central Italy, their influence stretching from the green valleys of Tuscany to the shores of the Tyrrhenian Sea. Before Rome was Rome, before the Senate and the Caesars, there were Etruscan kings, ruling over the young city on the Tiber, shaping its architecture, religion, and even its symbols of power. The Romans didn't just conquer the Etruscans, in many ways they inherited them. And yet, by the 1st century BCE, the Etruscans were gone. Absorbed, erased, or something else? We first hear of the Etruscans through Greek historians who called them Tyrrhenoi, a name that still clings to the Tyrrhenian Sea today. They were master builders, sailors, traders, and artists. Their cities, perched on high plateaus, were ringed with massive stone walls. Their tombs, carved deep into the earth, were not grim places of mourning, but vibrant houses for the dead, decorated with frescoes of banquets, dancing, and music. Death to the Etruscans was not an end, but a continuation of life's pleasures. They spoke a language unlike any other in the Mediterranean. Even now, we can only read fragments of it. There are inscriptions on stone, on bronze mirrors, on terracotta urns, tantalizing glimpses of words whose meanings are still debated. It's as if the Etruscans spoke in riddles, and time has taken the key to their code. Their origins are just as enigmatic. Herodotus, the Greek historian, claimed they came from Lydia in what is now Turkey, migrating to Italy after a famine drove them from their homeland. Another ancient writer, Dionysius of Halicarnassus, disagreed, insisting they were native Italians, a people who had always been there. Modern archaeology offers clues, but no final verdict. DNA studies suggest a mix. Perhaps they were an indigenous culture with trade and marriage ties reaching across the Mediterranean. Like so many ancient mysteries, the truth may lie somewhere between legend and fact. The Etruscans thrived between the 8th and 5th centuries BCE. They were wealthy from trade, importing fine Greek pottery, exotic goods from the east, and amber from the distant Baltic. Their ships roamed the seas, sometimes as merchants, sometimes as pirates feared by Greek sailors. They were also expert metalworkers, crafting intricate gold jewelry and bronze statues that still stun with their detail. But perhaps their most lasting influence was on Rome itself. The arch? Etruscan. The toga? Etruscan. The very concept of gladiatorial games? Likely rooted in Etruscan funeral rites, and yet, their world began to fade. The Greeks defeated them at the Battle of Cumae in 474 BCE, weakening their naval dominance. The rising power of Rome chipped away at their independence city by city. By the late 4th century BCE, Etruscan cities were falling under Roman control. And here is where the mystery deepens. When Rome conquered other peoples, it often absorbed them. But traces of their languages, customs, and identities usually lingered for centuries. With the Etruscans, it was different. Their language all but vanished. Their political identity dissolved. Even their name faded, surviving only in the word Tuscany. Some say this was simply assimilation, that the Etruscans became Romans in name, language, and culture until no one remembered the difference. But is that all? There are tantalizing gaps in the record. Consider this. We have thousands of Roman inscriptions, manuscripts, and historical accounts. Yet for a civilization as significant as the Etruscans, Their own written history is almost entirely absent. Ancient sources mention a book, the Etrusca Disciplina, a collection of sacred texts detailing their religious practices, their prophecies, their interpretation of lightning and the will of the gods. It was said to contain the knowledge of their seers, the haruspices, who read omens in the entrails of sacrificed animals. This book, if it existed, is gone. Not a fragment survives. Did Rome deliberately destroy it to erase a rival culture's spiritual authority? Or did it simply crumble away in the careless passage of time? Then there are the tombs. Hundreds have been found, but many more remain buried under farmland and forests. Some, when opened, contain intact murals, couples reclining on banqueting couches, dancers mid-step, musicians frozen in melody. The colors are bright, almost defying the centuries. But in some tombs, archaeologists have found something stranger. Traces of fire and deliberate smashing of grave goods, as if someone had wanted to obliterate not just the dead, but the memory of them. Was this the work of conquerors, looters, or the Etruscans themselves, erasing their own past in some ritual farewell? Modern theories offer several possibilities. The simplest is cultural absorption. As Roman power grew, the Etruscans adopted Latin, intermarried, and became part of Roman society. Over time, their identity dissolved into the greater whole. Another theory suggests that political suppression played a role, that Rome saw the Etruscan elite as a threat and dismantled their institutions, ensuring their cultural disappearance. Some more speculative ideas hint at catastrophe, plague, economic collapse, or even environmental change that disrupted their agricultural base. Yet none of these alone explains how an entire culture's voice could vanish so completely. Walking through the ruins of an Etruscan city like Tarquinia or Cerveteri today, you can still feel their presence. The streets are gone, the houses have crumbled, but the tombs remain, entire cities of the dead, more enduring than the cities of the living. Step inside one, and the temperature drops. The air smells faintly of earth and stone. On the walls, painted leopards guard a banqueting scene. A lyre player's fingers hover above strings that haven't sounded in 2,000 years. It's haunting, not because the place feels empty, but because it feels paused, as if the Etruscans have just stepped out and might return at any moment. The Romans may have claimed victory, but pieces of Etruscan soul survived in disguise. Roman religion borrowed heavily from Etruscan rituals. Their engineering, especially the mastery of the arch and vault, was pure Etruscan genius refined. Even the Roman alphabet came through Etruscan hands, adapted from the Greeks. In this way, the Etruscans never truly disappeared. They live in Rome's bones, even if their own name faded. And yet, the romantic part of me likes to imagine something else. That perhaps the Etruscans didn't vanish so much as retreat. That somewhere in the hills, in villages never marked on any Roman map, their descendants whispered the old language and kept the old rites alive in secret. Maybe a few words survive in the dialects of remote Italian valleys. Maybe, just maybe, their gods still walk the land, unseen but watching, as they did when Rome was young. The disappearance of the Etruscans is more than a historical puzzle. It's a reminder of how fragile a culture can be, how quickly memory can be swallowed by time. A few generations, and what was once the heartbeat of a land can become a whisper. And yet, in the stones they carved, the gold they shaped, and the roads they walked, their spirit endures. When you next stand beneath a Roman arch, trace its curve with your eyes and remember, it was the Etruscans who first bent stone into a doorway to the future. When you hear the clang of history's great names, Caesar, Augustus, Rome, remember there was a people before them who taught them more than they would ever admit. So perhaps the Etruscans never truly disappeared. Perhaps they are like the colors in their tomb paintings, muted by centuries, but still there, waiting for the light to bring them back. Thank you for wandering through this mystery with me tonight. Now I'll ask you, do you think the Etruscans were simply absorbed into Rome? Or is there a chapter of their story we've yet to uncover? Could their voice still be waiting to be heard in some forgotten corner of Italy? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And if you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, please like, comment, and share. It truly helps keep these stories alive.